Hi, this is Val Hart, the real Dr. Doolittle, and today I'm talking with Tom Ingenio. He is a licensed acupuncturist and certified animal acupuncturist in New York and Maryland. He has a long list of impressive credentials, including being part of Baltimore's Channel TV 25 program on Men in Science and has lectured for several Johns Hopkins groups. He's helped treat FEMA rescue workers for both pain and emotional stress during the New York 9/11 rescue effort, and he also treats companion animals, including dogs, cats, and horses. He's worked with several Baltimore rescue groups and has even been a consultant to the Maryland Zoo. Tom has performed acupuncture on a rescued pit bull from Michael Vick, camels in Egypt, and a giraffe at the Maryland Zoo in Baltimore. He's also been published in the North American Journal of Oriental Medicine, as well as the Baltimore Dog Magazine and HealthyLivingNewYorkCity.com. Welcome, Tom.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. What got you interested in acupuncture? How did that come about?
Growing up, I think I always wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
And I was headed towards that direction. And when I got to college, I took an Oriental medicine or Oriental philosophy class, Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, and followed that up with a Tai Chi kind of elective. And something happened there. Something clicked, and I said, this is really good stuff. And I started to look around and found that was kind of the direction I wanted to go.
Okay.
Through a weird twist of events, I ended up running out of money at the first school I went to, coming home, going to another school, still pre-med, still going that direction.
Yeah.
And in the mail, a postcard showed up for an acupuncture school.
Oh.
And 2 weeks after I got that postcard, I was enrolled in that acupuncture school.
Wow.
So
okay.
the twist of events was very much my life path unfolding in front of me.
Yes.
So it worked out very well.
Wow. Okay. So you went into acupuncture, and then somehow you decided to do it on animals. Tell us about that. What made you decide to work with animals?
It was another one of those things that almost just fell into my lap and seemed so natural. Acupuncture being all about balance. We look at it in every part of a human's life, and we look at it in family relationships. And certainly, pets or companion animals is, I think, a lot of people who are really in tune with animals would prefer to call them. They're part of the family.
Yeah.
And, people may be out of balance, and their kids may be out of balance, and then their pets are out of balance.
Yeah.
So it always seemed natural that, I see entire families here. Why not see animals?
Mm-hmm.
And this was another thing that just lined up with some great serendipity. My wife and I had discussed moving to Maryland from New York, and I was filling out my application for Maryland licensure for acupuncture for humans.
Okay.
And on the website it said, acupuncture for animal certificate. I said, well, what's this? And 2 weeks later, I was signed up for the animal acupuncture course in Maryland, and I haven't looked back since. That was 5 years ago.
Oh, my God. That's so awesome. I love that. There's so many great modalities, healing modalities for people, and then why not offer them to our fur kids?
Yes.
We have fur animals that are in some cases even more important to us than our human family.
Yes.
So we care about them and we want them to be healthy and happy and well. So that makes sense to me. I love it that you're doing that. Not all of acupuncturists do, and it's great that you do. So, okay, now I have another question for you. This is a little off the topic maybe, but can you tell us a funny story or maybe something embarrassing that happened to you?
Yeah. I have quite a few. So to pick just one, let's try to get one kind of in the realm of animal acupuncture. And this is kind of a question a lot of people ask after they get through the initial does it hurt and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I've been asked quite a few times if I've ever been bitten. And
yeah.
I will say it's only happened once.
Okay.
And it was before the treatment even started, but I was trying to hide it from the owner. I was treating a very very maladjusted poodle, I guess is the way to put it. And I had walked in the door, and I had my hand hanging at my side, and the little guy jumped up and took a nice chunk of the meaty part of my palm.
You. Oh, my
and
God.
I sat there and just pressed it against my leg and continued talking, and I picked my hand up off my jeans, and I had a huge blood stain on my pant leg. And the owner said, "Oh, how did that happen?"
Oh,
and I said, "I didn't want to say this, but your little guy got a piece of me." But yeah, that was the only time, and it was not a truly acupuncture related story because I hadn't even started the treatment yet.
So he punctured you before you punctured him.
He did. It was a reverse treatment, if you will.
There must have been something in that point there on your palm.
You know, well, it was an asthma and allergy point, kind of, and I don't know, maybe it was springtime, so maybe I had a little sinus stuff going on.
So he was your treatment professional that day.
Yes.
Yeah. You just didn't know you needed a treatment.
No, I was unaware of it.
That's hysterical. I know personally, you know, I've been on site working with my clients' animals. Yeah, there's a lot of great stories about some pretty wild stuff that can happen. But yeah, well, good. Oh, all right. Wow, thank you for telling us that. That's great.
Oh, no problem.
So let's talk about treating zoo animals. That really, I can't even imagine. How in the world did you treat a giraffe?
Well, you know, it was kind of a big story. Gretchen was her name.
Gretchen the giraffe, okay.
Gretchen the giraffe, she was 23 at the time, and almost about once a week you would turn on the evening news and they'd mention that, you know, Gretchen's really declining, she's going downhill, zookeepers are trying everything. Okay. And at the time, I actually had a patient who was a zookeeper. And, you know, I gave her a call and I said, you know, listen, I don't want to get paid. I really want to try and help this giraffe out. It doesn't, you know, I'm not trying to do it for publicity. And now that I'm saying that, we're talking about it on a radio show. But this is years later. But she took a letter to the head vet there. And the vet called me and said, listen, we're trying to do everything we can for this girl. She's one of the oldest in captivity. She was born with a couple of birth defects. Her front feet were turned in, her back feet were turned out. Oh, wow. And she was stepped on after she was born by her mom.
Oh, wow.
So she had quite a bit of arthritis, pretty much in every joint.
Yeah.
And I had the pleasure of treating her about 5 or 6 times, and you know, she did get relief after each treatment. The only problem is, with that much tissue damage, with that much, you know, bone on bone wearing away, she only made limited progress.
Okay, yeah. It's unfortunate they weren't able to bring you in sooner or something like that.
You know, I think that's the thing, and this is for people and animals.
Yeah.
Sometimes they call us last resort.
Yeah.
Acupuncture can do some pretty amazing things last resort.
Yeah.
But acupuncture is all about supporting the natural cycle of life, and when we get towards the end, well, maybe we can make that transition smoother.
Yes.
But we're not replacing joints. We're not, you know, fighting 20-something years of damage. You know, we can help support the person or the animal in that case. But you know, it is something. She responded very well. The zookeepers were saying she wasn't eating. Every time I treated her, the first thing she would do is they had actually built a special, it almost looked like one of those magician's cabinets that has the slots to cut women in half. And you could open up all these panels and get to different parts of the giraffe, and they actually built it for her, knowing that she would need it later on. I mean, they were doing orthopedic hoof groomings and giving her all sorts of supplements and talking about every specialist in the country that had anything to do with joint health or with larger animals. She really got taken care of very well. And it was such an honor to treat her, and I have to say, giraffes were such a beautiful, you know, they're so beautiful. There's a quiet regalness about them, and it's just it was great to be that close to them.
Yeah, Wow. Oh, I have a fondness in my heart for giraffes. I remember as a kid, being with baby giraffes and being with them at the zoo, and they're just such amazing, wonderful, sweet animals. Yeah. I'm so glad you're able to help her.
Oh, it was really a great experience, and I offered up my services anytime to them. Mm-hmm. Logistically, some of the larger predators that might need some help, they were a little leery of letting me in the cage with, which is understandable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, ooh. I remember years ago, I used to work at Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation here in our area, and working with the big cats and the bobcats and the razor sharp long teeth and the claws. They talk about acupuncture. Whoa.
Yeah.
They're a little frightening.
Heavy on the puncture.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, thanks for that. Camels. All right, we have to know the story about the camels. So,
this was great. My mother-in-law has she's an expat. She moved to Egypt about 13, 14 years ago.
Wow.
And she takes people on tours all over to all the different sites. She'll take them up and down the Nile, take them out into the desert, and really give them a taste of true Egypt. So she'd been begging us to go. And I said, okay, yeah, we'll definitely go. And this is obviously a few years back, prior to this great, I think, revolution for Egypt. But we I said I'll definitely go, but I want to treat whatever's out there. So definitely camels, definitely these things.
Okay.
And we happened to be out. Actually, you could see Saudi Arabia. On the Red Sea, and some camels came by, and one of them had a little bit of an open wound, and I don't know if it was a saddle, from the saddle, or if it was from something else, and we just did a couple of treatments on him, and they, gave him some advice about washing it and cleaning it out, and, from what I heard from my mother-in-law, because she actually has a house out there, she said that camel was doing a lot better, and the owner was pretty happy about it. I mean, that was a big one.
Wow. So do you use a lot of needles when you're working with these enormous animals?
No, and people also expect larger needles or thicker needles. I have a book that talks about equine acupuncture in China a few hundred years ago, and it looks like torture. I mean, they basically tie the horse up to 4 posts. They have a large hammer, and they have this needle in there that kind of comes out when you hit it into the horse. But no, actually, I use needles that they put in humans' ears. They're much smaller, very thin, and the theory is, we talk about qi, and qi being the life force that kind of keeps you healthy. That circulates through the body, and as long as that's going, you're healthy. When it's out of balance, we put the needles in to correct it. You don't need big needles for that, and she exists on every level, so you don't need to go deeper, you don't need to use bigger needles, you don't need to use stronger stimulation, and certainly when you're working on an animal that you can't explain, hey, this might hurt a bit, you want to cause the least amount of sensation possible.
Yes, exactly.
So it's mutually beneficial. It's better for the patient, it's better for the practitioner as well.
Right. Yeah, good. Okay, that's helpful. I'm going to ask you some more specific questions about how this works in a little bit. But I also wanted to know about Michael Vick's rescued pit bull. Can you tell us more about that? What happened?
This is I was working with a couple of rescue organizations, and there's a great one down here called Recycled Love. If anybody has any extra money they want to throw in any direction, recycledlove.org is a great little group. And after they split up Michael Vick's pit bulls, and they were basically positioning them throughout the country. I think it was in the 40s, the number that he actually had. Recycled Love got 3 of them. 2 of them were actually about an hour and a half away from me, and one of my friends actually got the opportunity to treat them, and I got to treat one that was named Harriet Tubman. A very beautiful blue pit.
Okay.
Sweetheart, very much a puppy. And we were treating her for a little separation anxiety, a little stress, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Because even a change to a better environment is still a change.
It's still change, and when you're already distressed, any
Mm-hmm.
change can sometimes be more stress.
I will say,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, go ahead.
Fortunately, she was not one of his fighting dogs, but still had quite a bit of trauma. They actually took a power sander or a power drill and filed her teeth down with that, thinking that would somehow make her less dangerous. And I can say, those of you who know pit bulls and know bullies as a breed in general, they're some of they can be some of the sweetest animals. They're always puppies. They have just a very sweet, playful energy if they're bred and of course handled right.
Yes.
And certainly the owner who ended up adopting her, I believe, was the president of Recycle Love. He just liked her that much.
Yeah. Wow.
She was such a sweetheart and very funny with her. Younger dogs, we tend not to get to see. People call us end-of-life diseases and those kind of things. But she actually, we had one spot on her chest that's a big calming point. And every time I would put it in her, I'd get about 30 seconds of her laying down. And that was the calmest we could get her. She was about 2 years old, and even at 2, pit bulls are still, awkward for their bodies and
they're being classic.
Lumbering around and playing.
Just big sweet piles of mush and muscle.
Yes,
that's
a lot of
funny.
muscle.
I love it. That reminds me of my dog. He's pretty hyper too. I'll have to learn that spot. That would be helpful.
It's in the middle. It's in the middle of the breastbone.
The middle of the breastbone. Okay.
Yes. Dead center. And they say it's an influential point for the chi. It's also directly over the heart. So the heart is the seat of the emotions and actually the seat of the intellect.
Okay.
And it can really help people calm down. And if we think about it, there's an exercise that humans can do, and I suppose you could do it on animals too, where you actually just take your fingers and lightly tap on your breastbone, and it's thought to stimulate the thalamus or thymus production, and really help you calm down that way.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. And Body Talk, which is one of the healing therapies that I do, the Body Talk system. We tap over the heart. We tap on the breastbone there, and it is connected to the thymus. So that's interesting. I did not know that was connected also to this.
Yes.
Good information. Yes. Good information. Thanks, Tom.
Oh, no problem.
All right. So Harriet Tubman improved. She got better.
I almost think and you'll see this in most animals.
Yeah.
They'll get better much quicker. They tend to be able to let things go a little bit better than humans. And I'm sure you can probably attest to that in the most cases.
Right.
And she really got what she needed very quickly. I got to see her about 5 times, 6 times, and she's a happy dog from last I heard.
Wow. I love that. That's such a happy ending to such a tragic story. And I know, all of us who love dogs were horrified at all that whole mess. So it's good to know that people like you were in there recovering and bringing good quality of life back to those poor dogs. So thank you. Thanks. Oh, touches my heart. Okay, so this kind of leads us naturally into the next question I have for you, which is, why do people seek out acupuncture for their companion animals? What are the typical things that they're looking for help with?
The number one thing, like I said, I tend to see a more geriatric population. The number one thing is arthritis. We have a lot of dogs that, and this is a good thing, they're getting better medical care. As they get better medical care, they make it to older age. Hip dysplasia, joint problems, even if that joint problem is post-surgery, we have a lot of dogs that get knee surgery or hip surgery. We can definitely help with the recovery time there. There's quite a bit that can be done for a lot of internal problems that manifest externally. Things like skin conditions, hot spots, allergies.
Okay.
And because acupuncture works on treating the person or animal as a whole, we can really cover a lot of things that, say, if you went to a traditional vet or a traditional doctor for a human would say, well, I'm going to give you this for your skin condition. I'm going to give you that for your joint pain. I'm going to give you this for your GI. Acupuncture within a few needles can kind of help that on several different levels.
That makes a lot of sense to me. That's really smart. And I know in my own practice, Tom, I'm looking, I call it casting a broad net. It's because so much of what our animals are struggling with are actually they're picking up from us, right? So that's that human-animal body-mind connection. And then if we fine-tune and get so specialized and so focused on just the one part of the animal, then we forget about all the factors that influence that part, the connecting bits, so we could have spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, or all factors thereof, or it could actually be something going on with their family that they're reacting to.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the things that they talk about in acupuncture is looking for a common theme. So, a lot of people that have GI disturbances, and I'm talking people because, more people have experienced that. They might see it in their dog as well, but a lot of people that have GI disturbances, they'll say, oh, that may be related to the lungs and issues like sinuses, allergies, or skin issues, eczema, acne, those kind of things. And you'll see that in humans and in animals as well. You'll see a lot of hot spots showing up on dogs that may occasionally get into things they shouldn't or have allergic things that end up causing them diarrhea or constipation, these kind of things.
Yeah. Makes a big difference. Yeah. Okay, good. So that's why they seek it out. So all these conditions can be treated. What kind of results are typical? What do you see in your practice? Well,
certainly I tell everybody acupuncture is not a magic bullet. It's not a one-shot deal. It's not a switch that you flip on and off. I will say animals across the board respond a lot quicker than humans do.
Okay.
My blanket statement for humans is give it 5 treatments and hopefully you'll see something. For animals, I'm saying give it 3 treatments, and if you don't see anything, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but in most cases you'll see something very significant after those 3 treatments.
Okay. Good. That's a really good rule of thumb. I know a lot of us, we're kind of trained to take a pill and feel better, or or something like that one magic little bullet thing, like you said, a switch on and off. But in this, it's a more holistic, deeper, longer lasting kind of a change, and it takes a bit more time. So, and I love that. I love your comment about humans taking longer. I found that true in my practice also. In fact, usually the animals come in. My clients come to me because their animals brought them to me, somehow. But then, we resolve the animal issue really pretty quick, and then guess what's left? The human part. And so that's where we wind up spending a lot of our time in rebalancing the person, the family, the handler, the caretaker, the trainer, the rider, whoever it is, so that the animals can stay, in a better balanced state, which they can if their human is better balanced. Right.
Very true.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, good. So, all right, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. So how does acupuncture actually work?
Well, I'll give you both the Eastern and the Western, and every time somebody asks me that, sometimes the Eastern is a little too out there for people to get. So we tend to back it up with some Western results. And I'm not trying to take away from the Eastern philosophy because it's been around as a collective system for close to 3,000 years.
Wow.
The theory is that we have this energy that I mentioned before that we call chi, that runs through channels all over the body, and they're mapped out, and actually because of a Portuguese sailor, they'll oftentimes be called meridians. They're mapped out through the whole body, running north to south or head to tail in animals.
Okay.
And when you have a condition, whether it's psycho-emotional, whether it's spiritual, whether it's physical, somewhere in the body that energy is not flowing smoothly.
Okay.
We place these needles in to correct that flow.
Okay.
When that happens, the body can repair itself. It's not actually about us going after a disease or a specific condition. It's telling the body, hey, it's all right to work the way you're supposed to.
Okay.
From a Western standpoint, because a lot of those scientific minds, a lot of those real kind of rational people, well, I can't see chi, I don't feel chi, it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
What we can say is we place these needles in the body, and we see some very dynamic changes through a whole bunch of different systems.
Okay.
Now, the biggest change that we see is with the autonomic nervous system. Now, this is your fight or flight versus your rest and digest.
Okay.
Most of our diseases, especially for humans and animals in high-stress situations, come from being in that fight or flight response too long, too often.
Okay.
After about 10 or 15 minutes, and this does happen quicker in animals, you'll notice for humans that you actually slow down a bit, you feel a little bit tired, you feel relaxed, patients often fall asleep, and with animals it may happen in the first 10 to 15 minutes. We switch into that rest and digest stage.
Okay.
Now, during that rest and digest stage, one, your brain waves change. You go from that mental chatter or focused, like I'm working, type brain waves to the deep sleep and meditation brain waves. You release feel-good hormones, neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine. You increase circulation. What happens is your capillaries, and this is happening in animals as well, the capillaries open up, bringing in fresh blood. Fresh blood has everything your body needs to heal. Red blood cells, white blood cells, protein chains, oxygen, antibodies, and even, great, Western medicine. We'll travel to those areas that need to be healed more efficiently.
Okay.
And on the way out, we're carrying out any of those byproducts of an injury or damaged tissue or inflammation processes out of that tissue to be processed and taken out of the body. So really, we get this systemic effect. Locally, we get an increased circulation where the needles are, but it does happen systemically as well.
Oh, I love that. This makes sense. So the needles actually go into, you find maybe a stuck spot in the meridian or the channel?
Yes.
Okay. And then that opens or clears that block or little stuck bit, and then powers through it so that the channel can work properly and flow. And that takes us out of the fight-flight autonomic nervous system into the rest and digestion stage, and then we get all the other benefits of healing, which is we really only heal when we're in a resting and digesting mode, right? So when we're in fight-flight, in active work, in our society, chronically stressed and sleep-deprived, in our world, and we wonder why we don't heal as quickly as we should. But it's because we live in that hyper-vigilant autonomic nervous system so much that we don't have enough balanced rest and digestion time. Would that be a fairly accurate
That's very
assessment?
accurate. And if I can just add one more thing. We talk
please.
a lot, and the more kind of modern or more, I guess, Western approach talks a lot about your adrenal gland burnout. Your adrenal glands are the main, hormone. Adrenaline gets pumped when you're in that fight or flight stage. When there is no more, you kind of feel burnt out, and we're seeing more and more animals like that too, because their owners are stressed, they're in a stressful environment, whatever it is, they start getting that burnout.
Wow, this is near and dear to my heart. I was diagnosed a few years ago in stage 7 of adrenal exhaustion, which is the one right before you collapse of a heart attack. So, feeling like I was just about to be hit by the train. I was on the track and the train was just about to run me over. So it's been a long recovery process for me to repair and heal and, not come out of the burnout and the stress, and find my way back to balance and healing also. So this makes a lot of sense to me. It's such a chronic, I would say almost an epidemic in our
I
society
think so.
today.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of it's lifestyle, and a lot of it is just
Right.
our you have to be going all the time attitude, which isn't really good for any living thing.
No. No, it's not. Even our cars have to be refueled, right?
Yes, very true.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Okay. So that's another thing that acupuncture helps with.
Definitely.
Got it. I love it. Thank you so much for bringing that out. I appreciate it. So if our animals are experiencing things like that, or we ourselves, then we should consider acupuncture. And let me ask you this: are there any conditions that you would not recommend acupuncture for? Anything that's not good for?
There isn't a condition that I would say acupuncture can't help.
Okay.
But I would be leery in severe infectious diseases or things like cancer as a standalone treatment. We definitely can help support a person or an animal with those conditions. But I don't want somebody to think, once again, this is going to be the thing I do that's going to cure me, or this is going to be the thing that's going to cure my animal.
Okay.
Certainly, we want to be able to help, and we can. We definitely can help support the body and the systematic function and processing that goes on within a person or an animal. But to say it's a standalone treatment for those severe conditions, we don't want somebody or an animal missing something because they're refusing other modalities. Acupuncture is a great thing. It's very powerful. Yes, there are plenty of miraculous stories, but it's always better, and especially with Western medicine. Western medicine excels in diagnosis, so you have things monitored. You know what it is. You can look at it and tell what it is.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say not to get acupuncture, but consider it part of a treatment plan rather than a standalone therapy.
Okay. Appreciate that very much. That's very good and good common sense too. To add it as an adjunct and a support, but then also do due diligence to do anything else that's also needed, and appropriate. Yeah. Makes sense. So are there common questions that people really need to know or want to know about animal acupuncture?
The most common probably is how do you get them to sit still? Certainly, some of that's breed dependent, but in most cases, that fight or flight to rest and digest switch that seems to happen. Mm-hmm. That first treatment is kind of a getting to know you. But after that, most animals will come to you, lay down, get ready for the treatment, and when they're done, they get up and they shake off. It's really quite an amazing thing. Yeah.
That's great. I love that. I was going to say, is there an acupressure point that you pop very first off to alter their brain and put them in a sit still down?
I will say there is something, and it doesn't happen with every animal, but you'll put a needle in, and the dog or the cat will give you this look like, what is this and what's going on? And it's not that, ouch, you hurt me with that. It's a very distinct, I feel something, and I don't know what it is. And oftentimes, we'll call that a chi sensation, and humans will report that. They'll say things like, oh, I feel tingling, I feel warmth, I feel movement. And that probably happens in about, maybe 20 to 25% of my human patient population.
Okay. All right. Having had acupuncture, I'm actually doing work with an acupuncturist myself right now.
Great.
So let's talk about pain. I think that would be also a common question. I know that occasionally my acupuncturist hits me in a point and I levitate off the table.
that is very style dependent. It's very location dependent.
Yes.
The great thing about animals is they give us their back to work on. And there's a lot of points there, and fortunately, there's not a lot of pain receptors.
Oh, interesting.
If we think about it, and we'll talk from humans because people can relate to being humans more than they can relate to being animals.
A little harder,
in most cases. But areas like the hands and feet and the face need to have more pain receptors because you want to be able to tell if something's touching them, something's hurting them. Areas like the back, listen, if you got a little scratch back there, you don't you don't really care. It doesn't bother you so much. Those pain receptors are spaced out more.
Okay.
Now, areas where traditionally in the classics they'll say where the red and the white skin meet, so we're thinking the sides of the hands and feet. Those are some very powerful points there.
Okay.
On dogs and cats, because they have different numbers of digits, the points are located a little bit differently, and they tend to be a little bit less sensitive.
Huh, interesting. Okay. That's really helpful. I think some people would be worried about doing this because of the concept of pain, and some people are needle phobic.
And I will say, if you get human acupuncture and you've had some pinches, sometimes it's just the acupuncturist didn't get in as smoothly as it could. Sometimes that patient that point really needs to be stimulated. That's a mix of things. I will tell you, people who are treating animals really don't want that reaction, because I can explain to you that, hey, this is a sensitive area. I can't explain that to a cat or a dog so well, or a horse.
Yeah.
So we really have to be careful when we do those points.
Right. And in my work, Tom, I'm an animal communicator, so one of the things I do is prepare animals for this type of work or surgery or anything else that we're doing with them. But if they understand and know and agree that they want the work, that they see value in it, and then we can tell them how to cooperate, so what we need from them to get the best results and to make it easy, and give them a voice. So if you do hit a pain spot, instead of clawing or biting you or, jumping off the table and trying to run away or whatever they try to do to tell us, that something's not right, they could actually just say, oh, ow, or, oh, I felt that one, or, and then we could ask them, is it stinging, burning, is it intense, has it gone away already, it was just a momentary fleeting thing, or is there something else going on you need to tell us, So it really makes a big difference in how they respond and how they cooperate for their own treatment. So, yeah, okay, good. So I think you touched on this earlier, but are animals actually harder to treat than humans in some way?
There's certainly some differences. I wouldn't say harder or easier. They do respond quicker.
Okay. Yeah.
So I do like that. I will say that you have to be a bit more flexible when treating animals. Sometimes they might have a guarded side, and you can't treat that. They don't want you near it. It's understandable. Once again, sometimes we can explain to them. Sometimes we can't. that I need to get to that area, even though it's going to be sore.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see animals that are very nervous about the treatment, and it takes a little time to build up that trust.
Yeah.
So you have to be just more cautious. I don't want to even use the word cautious. I would say more flexible with the treatments.
Okay.
And listen to what the animal's telling you, and be able to adapt what they need. And really, if we talk about acupuncture specifically for animals, if we look at the human model and where they locate the points, it tends to be that we take a human, put them on all fours, and get rid of a thumb or a toe here and there, and try and figure out where the points would fall. And that would be what the model we would use for an animal. Certainly different numbers of thoracic, lumbar, and sacral, and actually they don't have a coccyx bone, they have a tail in most cases. So you move some points around there, but in most cases it's very similar to human acupuncture. The treatments tend to last a bit shorter because, once again, they respond quicker, they respond better, and I think I mentioned this earlier, they do kind of tell us when they're done. They'll stand up, shake off, or say, hey, I'm done, and they'll walk across the room and lay down over there.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Oh, I like that you described how the pattern changes and how you change the model depending on the body shape and type. That makes sense. Okay, cool. This is good info. I'm really appreciative of this. So, do you have any other tips for us that we could try or do for ourselves, like special points so we might could massage or, do acupressure kind of things on?
Well, I think, there's a couple of great ones. I'll actually give you three just general common ones, and I know we talked a little bit before we started recording about one that kind of exists between the eyes,
okay.
or kind of right where the nose and the snout meet where the eyes are. That's a big calming point.
Okay.
It's great. A lot of animals really like being rubbed or massaged there. I have a little French bulldog. He's got a little depression there, a little divot. He really just loves that being rubbed. It's very calming for him. Another point is square on the top of the head. You find kind of the highest point on the head. Traditionally in humans, this would be on the crown of the head, and you'd find a little depression there. And you can massage that, hold, and press lightly for 10, 20, 30 seconds. This point, because animals, traditionally in humans, and this is, they call this point 1,000 meetings, and the theory is all of the channels and all the little channels that aren't even on the charts meet at the crown of the head for that 1,000 meetings, and then kind of connect you to the universe.
Okay.
Excuse me again. Because most animals are quadrupeds, they have 4 feet.
Right.
They're forward. So there's actually a high point on their back, on their hips, right on the spine. That high point is sometimes where they'll put that 1,000 meeting point. So you can actually find that high point and put it there. And not only is it great for calming, it's great for back pain and hip problems as well.
So it's a high point on the hips. Do you mean between?
Yeah. You go to the low back, just around the hips, maybe just in front of the hips, and you'll see a little high point if you watch an animal, dog, cat.
Oh yeah. Is it on
walk
the spine?
by, right on the spine.
On the spine. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, cool. Well, we could find that. So we've got between the eyes, right at where the nose and the eyebrows kind of come together, right there.
Yes.
We've got the top of the head, the highest point there on the crown, and we have the high point on the hips there on the spine, and the low back right in front of the hips, right?
Yeah, and those are 3 that are real kind of simple to locate. They're simple to find, and pretty much, I don't think there's anyone on the planet, human or animal, that would say, I don't want to be more relaxed.
Yeah. Well, on my dog, I'm going to be doing all 3 of these frequently. He tends to be a bit of a wild child. We call him a circus dog at times. But then there are other dogs I know that are extremely calm, and they just don't get excited about much of anything.
No. And certainly with these points, you can see which one works best for your pet and use that one. The pressure doesn't have to be heavy. It can be light. It can be, a massage. It can be static. It can be, you could just hold it there.
Okay.
Listen to your animal, and they'll tell you what they like.
They will indeed. If we're paying attention, they'll be happy to tell us. Are there points for pain, shock, or trauma? So if our animal's been injured or has had something happen?
With regard to treating shock and trauma, it really varies depending on what has happened to the animal, how severe it is, and kind of where the animal was hurt, what, these kind of conditions. A general thing, once again, I would suggest those 3 calming points. Because they can help pull people out of shock as well as animals.
That's good to know. Okay.
And we did talk about that tapping the chest. That tends to be a very soothing and nurturing thing. Specific things like getting hit by a car, acupuncture can help with a lot of things. There's some things emergency medicine you just need.
Of course,
do your best to get your animal to whatever appropriate services you need as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
I would suggest the calming points because on top of the physical trauma that may have happened, you do want to give them some spiritual or emotional calming while that's all going on.
Okay. Got it. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that would be my best advice without getting into, it's for a dog that hurt its hip or tore an ACL or something like that.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. So the 3 calming points and then tapping the breastbone on the chest.
Yes.
Got it. That helps. Okay, so speaking of which, if we need an acupuncturist, how do we find a good local practitioner in our area if we're not lucky enough to be able to come to you?
Well,
State to state, the laws for animal acupuncture vary. In some states, they have to be a licensed vet, which is fine. In other states, you can go to a licensed acupuncturist.
Okay.
Maryland is, this is the state I practice in, is one of the few that I know about that actually has a dedicated certification for animal acupuncturists as well.
Okay.
So I would check with acupuncturists. I would search for an acupuncturist and ask if they know anyone. Then I would call your local vet and ask if they know anyone. That would probably be, a little bit better to get a personal recommendation rather than just do a Google search, which I shouldn't say that. I'm on Google. but you can definitely do a Google search as well, and just ask around and see who has had good results and look for testimonials and things like that. Yeah,
because I know, not everybody does as good a job as others. So some have varying ranges of experience and training and stuff. So we don't.
Every factor comes down to do you like the person? Are they doing what you feel is in the best interest for your pet?
Yeah.
I've been on several, I guess I'll call them practitioner auditions. Where it's like, they'll call me and they'll say, you're the third guy that I've contacted, or and it really depends. Do you click with that person or do you click with that animal?
Yeah.
I've had a couple of animals that maybe don't do well with males. Mm-hmm. So it's okay. Well, you're telling me this off the bat. We'll see if we can treat them. If we can't, here's a friend of mine who happens to be female, and hopefully she'll be able to take better care of your animal than I can. And it's a logistics thing. It's at the end of the day, it's not who's doing the treatment. It's, is your animal getting treated, and are they getting what, results that you want? Is that really coming out?
Yeah. Thank you. That's very helpful. Okay. So do you have any parting thoughts for us?
Yes. One, I think acupuncture can really help a lot of animals, and what I tell everybody, and this is for humans and animals, go sooner rather than later.
Okay.
I don't tend to see a lot of puppies. I tend to be the last call.
Yeah.
We can do some great things. It's a lot easier when that joint's a little creaky or that's a little stiff than when your doctor's saying, hey, you need to get surgery on this, or we don't think we can help. It's much easier when you first notice things.
Right.
So look for the subtle things, get them taken care of. It should hopefully help you sidestep something major down the line.
Yes. Okay. That makes
a
lot
of sense. And that's humans and animals.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see that in my practice too. I call those the Hail Mary, Hail Mary visits, where they've done everything else, and so now they're finally at your door and their animal's almost gone. So all right. So let's have some more information. More information for acupuncture for pets or humans. Everyone listening, you can go to Tom Ingenio's website at www.tryacu.com, tryacu.com. Is that right, Tom?
That's right. That's the quickest one. That's my short one to kind of get you to the bigger website. AncientArtsWellness.com will also work.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Ancient Arts Acupuncture, I apologize.
Yeah, AncientArtsAcupuncture.com. Got it.
But that tryacu, tryacu.com will take you there.
Okay.
If you want specific animal acupuncture, myAcupet, myAcupet.com. They all roads lead to Rome, as they say. They'll all take you over to Ancient Arts Acupuncture, and you can get information about my human practice, my animal practice, a link to my blog, a link to YouTube videos, a link to my Facebook page,
awesome.
A link to my links.
Everything
that you could possibly link to, as we do in this social media networking madness.
Okay. I love that. You also have an iPhone app. Is that right?
Yes, I do. It's called Serene Mind. It's meant to be a very clean and basic tool for people to help meditate. or relax or sleep better.
Wow.
A simple tool. It's kind of like a follow the bouncing ball kind of thing, an expanding and contracting ball that you calibrate to your own breath. And you can actually track your progress each time you use it. It'll show you how long you did, how long your inhale and exhale cycle was.
Wow.
And hopefully over time, what you'll find is that your breathing rate slows down. Your heart rate will slow down. It'll also show you how to calibrate that. And keep track of how long you are meditating for.
Well, I like that. What a wonderful app. Sounds
yeah, and we're hoping to soon re-release it, make it a little bit prettier, and add some other goodies in. So
cool. Okay.
If you don't buy it now, keep an eye out for it later.
Okay. So the app is called Serene Mind, SereneMind.
That's correct.
Right, and you can get that on iTunes. And then you've got a book. You've got a book coming out.
I got a book coming out, and we're shooting for end of the summer date for publication. It's called You Got Sick, Now What?
Okay.
And in that we discuss 7 secrets, we're calling them, from Oriental medicine to help you kind of beat the cold and flu.
Okay.
Shorten the duration of and symptoms, hopefully.
Okay.
We cover everything from some good old-fashioned Asian cooking to some Qigong, which are breathing and meditation exercises that are to stimulate the immune system and hopefully open up the lungs and sinuses,
cool.
To at-home acupressure, and some other neat things like cupping, which is taking glass jars and actually adhering them to the back and the chest to kind of pull the toxins out. Moxibustion, which is an herb that we burn on or near the surface of the skin, that has a strong antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal property, and it also can help you stimulate your immune system.
Wow, I like that. Okay. Oh, wow. So you've got lots of great stuff. You've got a book coming out in the summer of 2011 called You Got Sick, Now What? Sounds like a great book. I definitely want to get a copy of that. You've got the iPhone app called Serene Mind. And we've got all these wonderful websites and blogs and stuff at tryacu.com. And then you said the one for pets is acupet.com?
MyAcupet.com. If you just go to tryacu.com, you will see a tab for pets.
Great.
And that's going to take you right there, too. You'll see a lot of photos from the giraffe, and I don't think I have any of Michael Vick's dog up there. I'll have to find some of those.
Okay.
But
that'd be good.
Rabbits, dogs, horses, cats.
Oh, I love that. Okay, good. Oh, I got to go right now. I want to see the pictures. So, okay, everybody, thank you, and thank you, Tom. Thanks for being with me today. Thanks for the wonderful work you're doing to balance the planet, one animal and person at a time. And anything else you want to leave us with today?
No, I have to say thank you. I really had a great time.
Good. Well, I think your work is very valuable, and I'm so glad that you're doing it. So thanks.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right. Well, we will look forward to hearing more from you. So keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you later.
Great.
Thanks, Tom.
Take care, everybody.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.